and gentlemen, we're here. Thank you for tuning into another episode.
Turns out we owe money. We haven't left yet.
Yeah. I've been washing dishes. So I am your boy K Marvel.
I'm QS.
I'm the big stretch.
Striker Dragoon. And we are the Four Corners of Commentary. So on today's episode, we will be talking about some of our favorite female wrestlers. I do kind of think it's been a little, we waited a little too long to do it, but it's fine. We're doing it now. So for a very long time, I feel like female talent has been very underrated and very underutilized for such a long time. And the women's evolutions, the women's revolution has been in the forefront. Honestly, and with all due respect to the four horsewomen of the WWE, I truly think it started back Attitude Era and then really in TNA. I think their women's roster from back in the day was top notch. So we just want to give our love and our shout outs to some of the women who have paved the way for not only female talent, but male talent also. So you know what? I'll start this one. I don't even know why, because I don't really have a pick, but I think I am going to go with Gail Kim. I think that's a left field pick that nobody would have expected me.
Pretty interesting.
And trust me, I could have went with other people also. But there's something about Gail Kim being the talent that she was. She's not wrestling anymore.
No,
She's retired. So her WWFE stints weren't as well. So for me going, I'm not going to really touch on that one. But her TNA, kind of part of the reason why I wanted to bring it up. Her TNA tenure is probably the best in the company, or at least in the company's history. She's a multi-time knockouts champion, and she has had some amazing matches with the likes of Victoria. Well, she's not Victoria. She wasn't Victoria in TNA. Tara, Velvet Sky, Awesome Kong. The list goes on and on. I think Gail Kim was highly underutilized in the WWE. She definitely could have been a women's champion.
She was.
Oh, you're right. She was women's champion. So, excuse me. Then they should have used her more.
Yeah.
Right.
Her second one, I think, was the shift from them actually hiring athletes to them hiring those, basically those catalog models,
right,
for lack of a better term, that had no interest in wrestling whatsoever.
Right.
Initially, when she came into the WWE, she actually debuted and won the women's championship in the Battle Royal.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely right.
She had
I completely forgot about that.
Matrix gimmick.
Yep.
It was like, control your world. That's some of the best vignettes I've seen personally. I like those vignettes. Where it's like the code, like Matrix type code, forms into a woman.
Yep.
Right.
I thought those were pretty cool. But she debuted and won the women's championship.
And I think honestly, and we still see her effect with that throughout the industry. Simply with one move, which was Eat Defeat. There's male talent, female talent. So many people use that move. And currently, I believe Mia Yim is using a variation of it. She switched it up.
Somebody else.
Xavier Woods did it.
Yeah? Is it for a while?
Called it Lost in the Woods.
Yep. So I think, once again, mine is short and sweet. I think Gail Kim was very... underrated. Also, the first woman to be in the TNA Hall of Fame. I think that's really important. Whether y'all think it's legit or not, it's legit. A Hall of Fame is a Hall of Fame. So yeah, I think that's my pick. Gail Kim for sure.
Well,
Gail Kim, that's a good. I'm not gonna lie. That's actually a great pick. It's a great pick. It's actually.
If only AEW got their hands on Gail Kim, somebody that could complain about WWE as much as they do.
who deserves?
Yeah,
she does.
She
deserves the spotlight.
But honestly, if we're talking about women who's trailblazed for up to the women's evolution, I mean, it's only right that you go with a women's wrestler that started out as a valet.
Yeah.
and she ended.
Why you doing this like
I hope he doesn't pick my pick.
Come on.
Trust me, it's so obvious. I'm not gonna pick.
Yeah.
I mean, my
Yeah, she started out as a valet. She was managing TNA,
oh.
and she ended up being probably one of the great. Still
You going with the other one?
one of the greatest women's wrestlers
Sorry, my pick.
in WWE history. I gotta go with Trish Stratus.
Mhm.
Like it's obvious. Like Trish Stratus, seven-time women's champion, Hall of Famer.
That's what.
Literally, she was the first woman who main evented on Monday Night Raw with like Lita, like for the women's title. Like it's the history goes in itself. Like I said, like Trish Stratus started out as a valet. Like she was literally just like you saw her as just a cover girl model. She was cover girl. She literally just like a valet. Like you thought she was just for a model. You wouldn't think that you'd never see Trish in the ring. And then eventually she transitioned over, of course, getting trained by Fit Finlay himself. And just she transitioned over into being a wrestler. And it's what made it so great is that she had some great, phenomenal feuds.
Yes.
She
Still can.
feuded with the likes of Lita, feuded with Stephanie McMahon, feuded with Jazz.
Yep. We mentioned it earlier, Victoria.
Jazz
Victoria.
used to beat her ass.
Victoria, like
Holly.
Yes.
Ivory, like
That women's roster was
She's
good.
ran through at least 2 to 3 generations.
I'd say 2 generations
and,
for sure.
And it's even crazy. She even paved the way. She paved the way for the likes of Mickie James.
Oh yeah.
She was a direct. I think. Well, not a
Direct
direct. It's a fact.
Direct
she was a direct reason
That
why
was her
Mickie
first
James,
big.
did what she did. I mean, that
Mickey's
WrestleMania
biggest
match where Mickie James won the title alone and that match was crazy.
You can look at Mickey's finishers like literally are literally like a variation of Trish Stratus. The mid kick, chick kick.
Yes.
Her DDT is like a variation of Stratisfaction. Like it's just, and it's so great to see like well down the line as Trish was like nearing her final like days before her first run in WWE, like when she was retiring. You saw how much, you just look at the experience, how much better she was getting. It's just like, this is someone who had no lick of training at all. She was just a model. She was just going to be the valet, the model, the little side piece to
got better and better.
Vince McMahon storylines. But it was just hard work. She just kept on working hard at it. And not only did she keep having the skill to keep getting better, she already had the charisma. She had the charisma. She had it down pat. The fans loved her.
She was great on the mic.
Always great.
Once she really got into her own as a wrestler, her promo skills was crazy.
And what made it so legendary is that no matter what, she was, even when she was a heel, she was just one of those. She was one of those standalone stars of that division. No matter what, the fans loved her. We loved her. Even when Trish was heel, you still loved her. It's Trish. You can't hate her. You just can't. I mean, you can if you wanted to try. The whole thing with her and Chris Jericho and Christian, that whole thing happened. You could be upset with her about it, but then at the same time, it's just like it's Trish. It's like
I'm justified heel turn if you ask me.
It was
justified heel turn.
I think the matches with her and Lita, were
paved the way.
And still to this day, I think if we don't have Trish and Lita, if it wasn't for Trish and Lita, we don't have Sasha and Bayley.
Yeah, you wouldn't have.
I think those are two direct comparisons.
Not even Sasha.
4 horsewomen in
general. You wouldn't have had
4 horsewomen in general.
You wouldn't have had a Charlotte Flair. You wouldn't have had Charlotte.
I think that's her best rivalry, but I think the opponent that was the best for her, especially as far as her development is concerned, was Jazz. Jazz is
completely different.
A lot tougher.
She
wasn't necessarily the archetypal, especially when we think about the era that went by.
Right.
She wasn't like bleach blonde.
Right. She was a tough. You look,
thoroughbred.
Wrestler.
You look at Jazz. You would say Jazz really shouldn't have been in that era. She should
Nope.
have been now.
Yeah.
If she was in this era now, Jazz
Way more believable.
Jazz would be
I think-
way more believable.
I think Jazz would have, and I believe she was there for a tiny bit,
She was.
and I could be wrong, but New Japan,
I don't know.
I think she might have been.
No, she was in ECW.
She was in ECW.
Yes.
She
She
did do
Yeah.
No, she was.
Yeah.
I think it
small
was
stint,
it
very
Stardom?
small.
It was a Stardom.
I think-
Maybe not New Japan, but she was definitely like in Japan, just
Jazz
going
is-
off.
former NWA? What is it?
900 days.
Longest,
though, right?
The
Longest
longest
reign.
reign. The longest reign was
She just lost it last year.
Yeah.
I think that's off of injury, wasn't it?
940.
I think she
Was
hurt her knee.
Yeah.
come out.
Yeah, and then she was in the AEW
She wasn't
battle
in the
royal.
battle
right.
royal for the West
Yeah,
Coast.
but I think she got injured in that too, or she was still injured. And
Still, the Jazz, 940 some days.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but
It's
I think as far as Trish Stratus' development, she never worked in jazz. I don't think she comes after.
No,
Yeah.
because it made her a tougher woman, a
It
tougher
made her
wrestler.
tough. And not even that, you could even say like, she had basically like, it was the perfect ending. You won your seventh title, defeating your longtime rival, defeated Lita. That was like the storybook ending.
But
It was
not
perfect.
the crazy thing is what makes that even more of a storybook ending is not only did you win your seventh title, not only did you beat Lita, Lita,
You won in your hometown.
but you won in your
Yeah, you won
hometown
in
with
Canada.
the sharpshooter.
Yeah.
I mean, come
Just
on.
pay homage. You pay homage to the legends. Pay homage
Full
to
circle.
Like the once again, goosebumps. Like
Yeah. And
I
then
watching that live was
but then
insane.
even then,
For a
even then,
retirement match,
even-
quote unquote,
even
until
then-
she came back and
and even then,
Russell-
Trish had her
Trish
match at
Evolution.
She did.
It was against Charlotte.
No,
No, it was a tag match.
No.
It was a tag match.
Then
Turn
when
Lita
did she-
versus.
When did she wrestle Charlotte? Because that was a one-on-one.
SummerSlam.
That was SummerSlam.
That
Okay.
I think when they're in Toronto.
Yeah,
Yeah, when they're in
I'm
Toronto.
getting like,
Someone should shut up.
so
They're trying to speak.
No, it was like, she went, even then she had a brief stint, she came back every now and then, she came back, she did tag matches with John Cena, she came back briefly, even after getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, she left, she had a little break, she went and started a family, but then it was like when Evolution was coming back, Evolution was rolling around, you had the tag match against Alexa Bliss. You had that going on, so it's like you saw it.
Who was that?
The ring wrestling.
Alexa Bliss and.
I think it was Alexa Bliss and Mickey James. No, it was Alexa Bliss and Mickey James.
Oh, you're right. Against her and Lita.
Yeah, that was it. And even then, you're seeing it. You're like,
Excuse me.
even if she hasn't, you can see that Trish has not wrestled in like 7 years. She's still got it.
Damn,
Still got it, and it's just like, it never left, and everybody's keep thinking like, come back.
Mhm.
She can't. And then what happened? She came back in the Women's Royal Rumble.
Yep.
First ever Women's Royal Rumble.
Yep.
Of course, she was in that. She was in it.
Wasn't she the last? Wasn't she number 30?
No,
I don't know. I think she was one of the last women in there.
she was one of the last women in it because she did have a little. She even had a little brief standoff.
Yeah.
With the likes of Sasha Banks.
Yep.
People
People still want that.
That
They're
was
still
just-
talking about it to this
that
day.
came all full circle, but then it's like you see it come back around. The only, of course, you have one up and coming women's wrestler. You have one up and coming, and that is Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair. You love her or hate her, you already know Charlotte Flair is going to go down as one of the greatest women's wrestlers in this business.
For sure.
Because she's probably the best. She's literally the best one out of the four horsemen. She's genetically superior. She's a Flair. She makes it look good. She has the charisma. She has the talent. She just has it all. And the only person you link her to is Trish. So it's coming all the way back full circle. Of course, why not? If Trish wanted to, Trish, she ended her career on it was on a nice high note. But why not do the right thing? Really retire the right way, as is. Just give it to someone like Charlotte Flair.
And I think that match in particular was definitely the handing of the torch.
Right.
Because and a lot of wrestlers feel that way when they wrestle legends or wrestlers that have been around for a long time. But definitely, and that match was crazy with Charlotte and
Charlotte
Trish.
versus Trish was a great fucking.
By the
Because
way,
you were expecting it to be.
Because
Right.
everybody thought, again, they think that because Trish hasn't been wrestling for so long, and of course, Charlotte, they're thinking that these two are not really going to match up. They matched up perfectly.
Yep.
And that goes to show you, it's the trust. It's trust and professionalism. Trish is a legend. She's been around the block so many times. She knows what to do. She knows how to get this done.
Right.
And Charlotte, she's already up and coming. She's a Flair. That's enough said.
Well, hell, at that point, it wasn't even up and coming at this point. Charlotte was an established multi-time champion.
She's a Flair, and even though she didn't have the title at the time,
She didn't need it.
she didn't have the title.
she didn't need it.
She wasn't in the
She
team
should
at
have.
the time.
That's just another knife in the boat.
What other way to do this than you just go and you go against the very likes of Trish Stratus?
Yeah.
And what better way? And
Just
the crazy thing is, it wasn't like it was a career-ending match.
Right.
It just was a match against Trish, like a match against Trish Stratus, but she knew this was really going to be Trish's last match. And even then, in the end, where you thought that you really thought, wow, Trish might actually beat Charlotte. This is actually, you really believed it. In the end, of course, Charlotte won. And that was it. That was the true like swan song for Trish. That was the perfect ending for her. And it's just like, you know what? It did, and it wasn't even any type of disrespect. It wasn't even like any type of sadness. It's just like, you know what? Yeah, this is it. And she was, and you could tell she was okay with it. She was good on her terms with it. It's like, yeah, I'm really done now. And what more can you say? She had a stellar career. Like I said, 7-time women's champion, Hall of Famer. She's one of the. She's literally, if you look at trailblazers for this that led up to this women's revolution, this women's revolution that we see today, she's literally at the forefront. Of course, you know, you look at the cornerstones, you look at the ones like, you know, of course, you talk about the Fabulous Moolah, of course, you talk about Alondra Blaze, you talk about the likes of even Sherry Martel or even Miss Elizabeth. You look at Trish and that attitude there. It was Trish, it was Lita, it was even Stephanie, it was Jacqueline, it was Ivory. These were like the cornerstones. And of course, these are the cornerstones that helped actually was helping to push this women's evolution forward. And then we got it coming back with the likes of the Four Horsemen, the likes of Ronda Rousey, Nia Jax. You even have
Alexa Bliss,
Asuka.
Yep.
It just.
I think also. Well, not I think. I just want to specify for the fans who don't know, or you know, people who are watching who don't know. WWE Evolution was the first and currently only pay-per-view where it was an all-women pay-per-view. And they put on they might have put on one of the best pay-per-views of that year, if not maybe the best pay-per-view that year. That pay-per-view was insane.
It's a crying shame that still to this day they're not even like thinking to push it.
They need to. I don't know what they're waiting for.
It needs to come back. Like it was a good pay-per-view. It was watchable. Everybody got their shine. Everybody got their shine. Why not push it?
Was that Ronda Sasha? Was that paper?
No, that was a Royal Rumble.
Who did Ronda? Nikki Bella.
Yeah.
Nikki Bella.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Yep.
That was Nikki's return for the pay-per-view, and that was, I think, her last match as well.
Yeah, like even with that Evolution, you got to see Toni Storm versus Io Shirai.
Yep.
Storm versus Io Shirai.
But that's
that
definitely
match. Oh my God.
That wasn't once in a lifetime. That definitely happened before. They used to fight each other in Japan.
Of course, but
to have it on American stage,
you had Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane, and Shayna Baszler put Kairi to sleep. Like this is just. It just keeps on, like everybody.
That's when she retained the title, right? She didn't win it at
retained NXT title.
The NXT Women's title. Or was that the second time she won? Maybe that was the second time.
It's so long since I watched that pay-per-view.
I think
she might have regained it.
I think it was regained.
Probably.
But even then, like I said, that pay-per-view, it just adds on to the legacy for Trish because she was part of that. She was part of that. She was part of the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. It just makes sense to you have to give this woman her flowers. So I say, if there's ever there is a women's Mount Rushmore,
she's on it.
Trish is on it.
She's on it.
So it's if she's not, it's kind of a slap in the face if you don't have Trish in your top 5.
Yeah.
I would say
mine might be on there too, but we'll
we can make a case for it.
I would like mine to be on there, but
speaking of my pick, I think that especially as far as like contemporary, like the women's revolution that we see now in professional wrestling, I don't think that revolution happens without the woman that I'm about to mention, and that's Medusa. Alundra Blaze. As far as like some of the stuff that she's done, not only in America but in Japan, she's one of the first like American Joshi wrestlers that were wrestling like that high impact, like strong style type like offense. It was what I loved about Medusa is. Especially if you highlight like her WCW run, like Medusa's been wrestling since like the days of the AWA, and she was a women's champion over there, Medusa Michelli. And you highlight some of the stuff like she did in WCW. She was a part of the Dangerous Alliance, so she's a Paul Heyman girl. And she was a manager. She's the first Paul Heyman girl, and she was a manager there. And she managed members of the Dangerous Alliance. So as far as like a worker and a manager, she's like, I feel like as far as like some of the talent that she's managed, outside of like somebody like Sensational Sherry or something like that, she's like, to me, like 1A. Like as far as like being a manager and a talent, especially like it's Sensational Sherry. Like she's managed like Rick Rude. And when you see her in WCW, I think it's easy to forget like her AWA stuff. Like you see like the femininity side of Medusa and how sensual she can be. You know, is naturally good looking and stuff like that. She was hanging around with Rude, so like, they played up on like that. You know, that sex appeal factor that she has. But you fast forward to when she signs with the WWF, then WWF, WWE as a Lunder Blaze. You know, and they were trying to get their women's division, you know, restarted and everything. You really saw what she could do in the ring.
Right.
Like this is a woman I know I've never seen, especially at that age. Like when I was a kid, like I had to be like, what's that, 4 years old when I saw Medusa or something like that. I never saw a woman like wrestle like that.
Right.
Like, you know, she was doing like martial arts strikes, she was doing suplexes,
Right.
you know, a lot of high flying stuff, like hurricane ranas and everything. She brought a style that was completely foreign to me to American mainstream wrestling.
Right.
And I think she got, like, I think that just how thin the division was back then, she's a worker I would love to see in today's context.
Yes.
Because she's an American that can work with just about anybody.
Yes.
You know, she had so many great matches with like Bull Nakano and stuff like that, Luna Vachon and Akira Hokuto.
Yeah.
You know, I remember for like Survivor Series, like I think it was like 95, where they had to bring a bunch of Joshi wrestlers in order to get their women's division like showcased on the pay-per-view because there weren't many Americans that could work or hang with her, especially like women's wrestlers. Like she was supposed to feud with Aja Kong. But you know the division fell through. She jumped ship to WCW and she famously threw their WWF Women's Championship in the garbage.
Shout out to our
Definitely an
OMG
OMG moment.
Yeah, I was about to say shout out to our OMG.
That was like the
episode for
first
that.
time, like first real time somebody like brought a competing organization's championship onto another brand.
I think the only other time was Ric Flair.
Yeah, it was Flair,
It was
the
when
real
Flair
world
famously-
champion,
right.
you know. But even so, like they didn't desecrate really the NWA champion.
Right.
They just blurted out, like, you know, this guy isn't our world champion.
Right.
They didn't throw it in the damn garbage, you know.
In the trash.
Into the trash on national television. And you know, I don't. It's funny because you know people look at women's wrestling back then in WWF, and it really wasn't showcased as heavily as it was. They had to rely on a lot of older talent back then,
Right.
because there wasn't really too many women's wrestlers that were based in America. It wasn't really a huge market for it. You know, when she went to WCW, I felt like she was underutilized more. You know, it's crazy because of that, and they had a working relationship with Japan. You know, but she did a lot of tours of Japan while she was in WWF and WCW. I just feel like, you know, I don't think we get wrestlers like Kairi Sane and Io Shirai and Asuka, you know, and Sasha Banks without Medusa, like paving that way as like an American Joshi and doing some of the stuff she was doing on that stage.
I don't even think we get Lita or Trish or
Jazz.
I think even that era.
Do you think that would it ever be a possibility to see Medusa back in the ring now?
I don't know. Maybe not now.
I think she can.
I think she.
I think
No,
with
no,
the
not
right.
that she
I think with the
couldn't,
right.
though.
I think with the right talent, and I think where she's at right now.
And I say that it's like if you could see her like just come back, even you know, let's just say like one last time, just like even pass that real tour, pass it over. Who would you really want to see her against?
I would love to see her in the ring, probably.
Oscar said that.
Oscar's one. I would love to see her in the ring with Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
Somebody that could bump for her.
Right. I honestly think her and
Baszler would be a good match. I think
Bailey
Bailey
would be
a good match.
crazy, especially now.
Along with,
Especially now.
Medusa, Lunder Blaze, whatever you want to call
Right.
it.
But which we can speak about that another time. But yes,
That's a damn good
I
idea.
agree.
I think that
And I
Medusa,
think
yeah.
AEW is blessed to have her on the roster right now. And please, AEW, use her to the utmost advantage you can.
I think even if they use her as a manager for
That's enough.
anybody,
That's right.
it'll be wonderful because I think she has to manage somebody who doesn't need to talk. You know what I mean? Like Taz is managing Ricky Starks who can talk and Brian Cage who can talk.
Right.
He doesn't need to, but he can. But if Medusa got her hands on somebody similar to like an Awesome Kong, somebody similar to to like a Brian Cage and what? Just let her do all the talking.
I think that she could manage somebody that even can talk. I would love to see her with somebody like Ricky Starks because the dynamic is a lot
crazy.
different. It's far to me the dynamic would be like when Chyna managed Hunter Hearst.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, Ricky Starks is like this pretty
The
boy,
pretty boy,
and stuff
yeah.
like that,
Yep.
very prim and proper,
But he can
stuff
fight.
like that. He
But
can fight, you know,
But your magic fight too.
but Medusa, right? Medusa is considered, and I'm not saying she's tougher than Ricky Starks,
But she's a tough
she's
woman.
got the track record in which she
Right.
probably could claim that and be very believable.
Yep.
Right.
You know, Medusa, I think it's very good that I think you brought up a point whether she would wrestle today because she probably could. She probably could still go. She's in fantastic shape.
Yeah.
You know,
She always
I wouldn't mind saying that personally.
Yeah,
I really wouldn't. I think that Medusa
Army
probably
life.
fits the goal. I wouldn't mind saying that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a good pick.
So-
Good job, man.
He's the last. Like I said, everybody, it's a beautiful thing when we don't speak about these things prior to and things just flow. My pick was actually Asuka.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I feel at this moment, she is in the running to be the greatest women's wrestler. Even if it's at the time right now, she can definitely be in the running to
I
be the
agree.
greatest women's wrestler
Agreed.
ever.
Agreed.
Definitely has the
And
talent.
I already know exactly. I already know the list you're about to go down.
Yep.
So I was about to give her influences, which I should. You know, the influence of Keiji Muto, Antonio Inoki, and of course my captain, Suzuki. These were all her influences, and Asuka came from being a graphical designer. Do you know how delicate that job is?
Yeah.
And for somebody that physically has her matches the way she does, you would never believe that.
Yeah.
For me, going back, years ago when she had debuted in NXT, for me to go back and look and see that she was on the Xbox team in Japan. She was one of the marketers, and she helped them with tech stuff as well. I can't get the specific tech stuff right now. But to see you go from that to a hard, strong style wrestler that she is, it's ridiculous. So when I mention my captain, Minoru Suzuki, I can mention the matches that she's had with him.
You can never just say Minoru.
No, you can't. If I had my straw hat, I'd have my straw hat.
No, you cannot.
Suzuki-gun Ichiban, number one. But
I'm surprised
just to
you
say,
don't like Lance Archer as much as you.
we'll speak about that another day. But just her resume, for what she did in Japan, for the intergender matches she did in Japan, she got beat senseless by Suzuki at one point.
did.
She tagged with Kenny Omega.
Yep.
She's faced Kenny Omega a few times as well. She's faced, many different types of men and women in general. I believe she was in a stable with, was it Io and Neo? Or was it,
It was
Io was
Io
one of
was-
the
no,
tag
it- no,
team.
it
I
was
think it was
Io
a
and
tag.
Kyrie, I thought.
But it was a trio.
It was
at one
a
point.
trio. It wasn't Kyrie. Io was definitely one of the members.
But I know Asuka has a tag with one of
We have
her.
technology.
Right.
So
So
we'll find out.
we'll get back to that. But just for the talent that she was in Japan and to still be regarded as one of the top talent in Japan, to have her come over to the US not knowing much English, but was able to get her character over by beating people's asses in the ring. I mean, that alone as a talent, as a woman talent, and that is crazy. Because you can speak about her being pretty, and we know wrestling, early wrestling especially, we think about pretty faces, but a lot of the pretty faces didn't really match what we wanted in the ring. Asuka is that and more. Yeah. So we can talk about her feuds with having the last woman standing match. And I think that was the first time in WWE, was it? If not, correct me if I'm wrong.
For the women?
For the women.
In WWE, last woman standing, I'm not entirely sure.
I can't remember too many more before that.
Right.
I would have to look that up and get
She
back
came
on
to
that.
Tanahashi. I didn't know that.
Yeah, see?
It's dope.
I'll have
That's
to
the
look that
A
up
for
and
New
get back to you
Japan.
on that one. I actually don't remember.
Yeah,
But to have that last woman standing match with Nikki Cross, to even have her have these matches where she's steamrolling through people for 2 years, but she's elevating these people at the same time.
Yeah.
And to have that accolade in NXT, and NXT is not Raw or SmackDown, but you can't even scoff at her Raw and SmackDown resume. The matches she's had with Charlotte, the matches she's had with Becky Lynch, the matches she's had with Sasha Banks and the Four Horsewomen, it's crazy. You can say she's ran through this whole women's roster, but all rosters, Raw, SmackDown.
You can finally say that she has defeated all four horsewomen. She's defeated them. She's finally has that accolade. She beat all of them.
Yeah, once she beat Charlotte, she beat
She
all.
finally beat. I mean, we already knew when she had her run in NXT. She dominated Bayley.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie. Her Wikipedia is so damn long. I just can't right now.
She so many accolades. It's so many
Dominated
accolades.
Bayley. When she finally came up to SmackDown, when she came up to Raw, she dominated the likes of Sasha Banks.
Yep.
And then she was, and even though she won, she was the first ever women's Royal Rumble winner. She won the
Right,
first
yep.
ever women's Royal Rumble.
That's a huge moment.
It's a huge moment.
I think it's interesting how that year two people from Japan won the Royal Rumble because it was her and Shinsuke,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
And then it's crazy enough. Not only that, she just came off of the whole.
The
how much
streak
is it?
was four. No,
Not even
five,
the 500. It was like the 500
and
500 plus days. I don't remember
500,
the
it's, a
exact
500
number.
plus, it's a
but
500 plus day run as an NXT Women's Champion.
no.
because it was 2
It was
years.
a 500 plus run. Period.
Yeah, plus ring.
Period.
Because
She got the title. Right. She got the title because during that run, and then she had to drop it for injury.
Sure.
But when she came back, and I feel like I'm not alone when I say this, and this is with all due respect to Charlotte Flair, I don't think she should have lost at that WrestleMania.
She should have.
If she lost the
came back on
pay-per-view
fire.
after or the
But-
one after that, I would have been fine.
But it's
But
crazy.
I think she should have won the title right there and
But
then.
it's crazy.
That WrestleMania.
It's like it's so crazy because even though she lost that.
She's
that
still
match,
right people.
Everybody, people would sit there and like scoff and say like, "Oh, it's over for Asuka." It was never over. She elevated Charlotte.
people complain about her booking all the time. That's one of the few clean losses
Yeah.
that
I think
Asuka's
Asuka's ever had
She-
in WWE.
If you look at her record, her wins literally eclipse her losses by far.
Hands down.
She doesn't have that many clean losses.
She had a year losing streak after her 2 years.
Did she though?
I think it
Was
was,
it a
close.
year?
It was close to a
It
year.
was almost a year.
It was close to a year.
It was.
But then-
She had
but
wins
then
in
there-
between, but she had way more losses.
Right, but I was gonna say, but then there she goes, teaming up with Kyrie, becoming the
Women's
you
tag
know,
team champion got
women's tag team champions. What, third maybe? Third women's tag team champions or fourth, something like that.
had a very lengthy run too with that
They
one.
beat the
I
Iconics.
think
for it,
they were,
right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they have the longest reigning.
And then
Yes.
They have the longest reigning.
you won.
I believe.
You were in the first ever women's triple threat TLC match.
Yeah,
And you won that. You won that.
Yeah.
You won that.
You won that match.
Was it Charlotte and Becky?
that match was
It was
Charlotte,
Charlotte, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
You beat
Grant.
So
I
actually,
think
yeah,
that was- that was like
that
the
was
real-
she could really say she did. That's what she beat the most. She
Yeah.
beat them all the same night.
Grand Slam Women's Champion.
Yeah, one of
won
them.
the SmackDown Championship.
One of
Raw
them.
Women's
Yeah.
Championship, tag team.
There's only like
And
four,
that's-
three or four,
and
four or
that-
five.
And that
Three,
added-
four of them. I
And
think.
you could add a new accolade for her. She won the first ever
Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank.
Yep.
She won it.
Yeah.
She won it.
Yep.
Straight up. And,
No.
and crazy enough, she
No.
won it, and
She
it
didn't
turned out
win
to be.
first.
No, Carmella.
Carmella.
You're right. She wasn't.
Well, technically,
First
she
one I
was
was
second.
saying.
She was the first
Right.
pandemic champion.
All right, we can say
Pandemic
that.
money.
But even that, you can't even
But
say
either
the
way,
contract.
right.
Even the contract,
Her
it
analog,
turned out to be.
right.
She won the title.
Right. Oh, right.
She won the
Right.
title just like that,
Right.
and it still ended up being beautiful because now she's Raw Women's Champion now, and she's
Crushing it.
killing it. She's killing it.
I think Asuka. I don't think she's underrated. I don't think she's overrated.
Definitely.
I think
She's right
Asuka is
She's right.
a wrestler's wrestler.
Yeah, she's
Um,
right on time.
And her timing is wonderful. She makes her strikes. I'm pretty sure her strikes hurt,
Yeah.
but if because of the WWE style, you know what I mean, she makes it look a hell of a lot worse than what they probably are. You know what I mean? That spin back is.
What I was
I
saying
think
is
I'd stay away from that.
I'm happy for her, and I'm happy that WWE is giving her the real true shot that she
And
obviously
the proper run that
the
she
proper
needed.
run that she
She
deserves.
probably would have beat
You know,
Becky if.
Oh, that's a no-brainer.
You know,
we,
That's a no-brainer.
we know this.
Now here's the
That's
thing:
it.
do you think she would have beat her in a match, or she would have came up like from behind, like when she was down and cashed in? Because that's what I think.
No, I
No,
think she would have been a
she
straight up
would've
match.
been a
Oscar got cheated like that.
Because remember we've seen this already, like this same type of match before with her and Becky Lynch. We saw it the first time when they went against each other at the Royal Rumble
Mm-hmm.
when Oscar beat Becky.
Yeah,
clean.
right.
I didn't beat Becky clean, made her tap clean, made her tap.
See, I feel like the only reason I would have liked her to cash in like a dastardly type of way is because I think at that point she was already kind of like
She was a tweener.
a bad guy.
She's a bit of a tweener.
You know what I
She's a
mean?
tweener.
But I feel like she's doing more bad than good.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think her doing that would have pushed her to that top heel status. And then she just would have ran with it. Now, if she would have became a good guy, you know, during cool. But I feel like to see her do that would have been shocking. You know?
I hear what you're saying. I think like her like little mini heel moments, I guess was like you say is Dashley when she was, you know, starting to use the green mist. She was using the green mist to like get it.
Huge fan of the Green Mist?
I mean, it always because the green mist always won, so it just was what it was. But again, I like
So a little tidbit about the mist though. That was done by Hurricane, Shane Helms. That was actually
his
he
idea?
influenced that.
okay.
Because remember,
I was like,
since
since-
I was about to say, I know a lot of people that use it.
No. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. For Asuka's run as a heel, the green mist was introduced by Hurricane.
I think all in all,
Shout out to Shane Helms.
all in all, I do believe like Asuka is in the perfect place at the right time.
Yeah,
She's doing it.
for
She's
sure.
killing it. I think that now it's even better with her being champion, despite all what other people complain that, you know, the language barrier, who cares?
She can speak English.
She can speak English. She
Wow.
can speak it very well, and she's a fucking ass kicker.
I thought that was actually pretty smart
Was it
for them to do when she was a heel.
Right.
For her to only speak Japanese.
And honestly, like even when she was only speaking Japanese as a heel, it was entertaining, especially
Right,
when
yeah.
Asuka's.
I think
when
the way she
volunteered.
delivered
Yeah, like even when
Very
she
amazing.
concentrating, you don't know
is
what she's
amazing.
saying.
Not even then, like,
For,
and
and it was
commentary.
yeah, when she's
Right,
on
right.
commentary, and
Oh,
she's just
yeah,
randomly
yeah,
just
yeah.
speaking Japanese. It's like, yo,
well, you think
Asuka
it's
is-
random.
and no matter what, you're
Curse
looking
you
at
the hell out.
you looking at Asuka, and you're like, Asuka is freaking entertaining. She's like, and that's why
I know
I'm
what Baka
glad.
means.
I'm glad that they pulled the trigger and
Right.
just gave it to her. Like, yo,
Right.
she's entertaining. We can trust her.
Yeah.
You don't have to always trust like the likes of Sasha, Bailey, Charlotte.
No.
Not that that's a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but,
But
you don't have to just trust
it's
them.
not
You can-
And that's the same thing.
trust-
I think that's the
trust
same
her.
thing with somebody like Alexa. I mean,
Yeah.
Alexa, she might have not won the NXT title, but her runs as SmackDown and Raw Women's Champions
especially when
have
she's
been
especially when she's
wonderful.
It's beautiful.
I
They have been spot on every single time she has held the championship. I think
I
Asuka
advise
is the
everybody,
same way.
same as Kyle is saying this, please go on the network and watch Alexa Bliss's special about
Please.
all her title
Please.
runs as women's champion.
Amazing.
Amazing.
But on that note, gentlemen, we are going to close out this episode. So today we're just gonna keep it short and sweet. You can find all our socials in the comments, in the descriptions down below. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, like Facebook, YouTube, which is where you're watching this right now. Get out. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are very thankful that you are following us. The Council of Commentary is our Facebook page and our Twitter page. Once again, you can find us on every Instagram. Also, you can find us separately on all social media accounts, either one form or another. This is the Four Corners of Commentary. We appreciate y'all. Thank you again. Keep your social distancing distance.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Thanks.